Hello students, I'm going to show you on video about how to make a bow hold and some exercises and little games to play to help you develop your muscles and develop flexibility and to develop a strong bow hand, strong and flexible bow hand. So first thing I'm going to show you are parts of the bow. We have the tension screw, then we have the frog. And notice that the frog has a little lip right here. Then we have the grip and the winding. This is the horsehair all along. One of the things about the bow that we need to be careful of is to try to avoid touching the horsehair. It's okay to touch the stick. This is the stick. It's okay to touch the stick. And here's the tip of the bow. When we begin to play, we're going to turn this tension screw to the left. I like to flip it upside down and turn away from me. But if you look at it and you turn to the right, if you turn to the right, you tighten the bow hair. I'm going to put it back to the left, and I want you to notice that the bow hair, as when I tighten it, and I'm loosening it now, it goes closer, lefty-loosey, it goes closer to the stick, and righty-tighty will move farther away from the stick. When we tighten the bow hair a few turns, you want to make it tight enough so that you can pretty much fit your pinky between the hair and the stick. And that's as tight as it needs to go. When you tighten a bow, you should always still have the curve. So it still should always curve. It should never be perfectly straight. And maybe I just did it a little bit too tight. There, now I have more curve. Our bow hand, when we make our bow hand, I'm going to support the bow by the stick, and I'm going to use my right hand. Make sure that you are doing this with your right hand. Now, the important factor of our bow hand is that our fingers are relaxed and rounded. Not pinched tight, but relaxed and round. Now I'm going to make my thumb, bend my thumb, and I'm going to use the inside corner of my thumb, and it's going to go in this space between the frog and the grip. Then I'm going to take my second finger, I'm going to allow it to come over and touch the ferrule. And my third finger is going to go on the little dot. My pinky is going to go on top of the bow for violin and viola. And my first finger is going to round over and curve. Let's do that again. So if I show you this way, I have the bow is going to be about here on my fingers with the pinky on top. The thumb is bent and the corner of the thumb goes in this spot between. The thumb goes in between the bridge or the frog and the grip. My second finger comes over, third finger goes on the frog, pinky goes on top, and first finger relaxes almost like it's laying down on a pillow. And my hand is tilted toward the tip. And when I'm done, I'm going to hold it upright so that I'm not holding the weight of the bow with the bow shape. Because the bow hold, it's a little bit of a misnomer. That's a misname, the wrong name. The bow hand really, the hand just guides the bow. It's not holding the bow. When we play with our instrument, the instrument is holding up the bow. Let's do the cello and bass bow. For the cello bow, it's very similar to the violin and viola. Notice that the frog is bigger and rounded. We're going to tighten the bow just a little bit. Same thing, about a finger. And when I create this bow hold, it's only slightly different. We still have the element of relaxed round fingers, but we're going to put, instead of the thumb being underneath, we're going to bring the thumb just a little bit on the side. It's still bent, still round. And I'm going to put my second finger again on the ferrule. And my other two fingers just come over. And I still have this nice round shape. And one of the important for violin and viola and for cello and bass, notice that I have this round space in my bow hand. I've heard this called the mouse house. And you don't want to let your thumb squish your mouse. So we always want to keep a nice round thumb and nice round fingers for our bow. And bass works the same way. There's one difference for bass. Here's the bass bow. Notice that the frog is a lot bigger. We're going to tighten the bow just the same. And maybe this one has not the pinky width. Maybe this one has a bigger finger between. So on the bass bow, still with the right hand, I'm going to put these two middle, the thumb is going to do a lot like the cello. Instead of having it be underneath, I'm going to put it a little bit more on the side. I'm going to have my two fingers touch the ferrule, and then my fingers come over. And I still have that round mouse house. And this is my bass bow hand. When I'm finished, I'm going to hold it upright because the bow is heavy, and if I try to hold it with the hand, then it's going to fall down. And this is not the way our bow hand needs to be. We need to have our fingers in the right spots and relaxed. And the pinky stays right here. Now, so that's why I'm supporting the bow with my other hand. Now let's look back at the violin bow, and I'm going to show you some exercises that we can do to help us with our bow. So here's my bow hand. Again, I'm going to put my thumb underneath in that spot. I'm going to bring my second finger over to the middle ferrule, third finger on the dot, pinky on top, finger down. I'm going to go up, right side up. Now everybody can do this exercise. I like to call this the elevator. So an elevator, we're going to pretend like the bow stick is an elevator. It's going to go straight up and down. I'm going to lift it up to the ceiling, and then I'm going to lower it to the basement. And while we're doing this, let's make sure that we have a nice, relaxed, straight shoulders, and we're sitting upright away from the back, and we're not leaning back and slouching. That's just not looking good at all, is it? So we want to sit up nice and straight, and I still have my good bow hand, and I'm going to raise my bow up to the ceiling, or the roof, and we're going to take the elevator down to the basement. And the goal is to try, oops, I just flopped. Try to keep your bow straight the entire time. I did much better earlier than I am right now. Okay, see how straight you can keep your bow. You can go slow too, you don't need to go fast. We want to avoid having go backwards or forwards or sideways. So just up and down, see if we can be just straight up and down in the building. Now another exercise that we can do is called the spider crawl. And this is, everybody can do this. The spider crawl helps you strengthen your fingers and help you get your thumb and your finger and your pinky working together. And in spider crawl, you just make your fingers do a little spider crawl up the frog or up the stick to the tip. Now it's easy to go to the tip. What's hard is to get your fingers to work together to go back to the frog. And you still want to try to keep your bow straight up and down, which mine's a little wobbly today. I don't know what my deal is. Okay, see if you can keep your bow still as you go back to the frog. Let's do that again. We can race this time. Ready? On your mark, get set, race. Now let's go back. Try to keep your thumb bent while you're doing this. See how my fingers are working on the inside of my bow? And, oops, I'm there. And let's make sure we have our good bow hand with our pinky bent and our thumb bent underneath and our finger by the ferrule and our fingers over. Now, let's do an exercise I like to call pinky push-up. We're going to use just the pinky, the bent pinky. This is for violins and violas more, but cellos and basses, you can do it too. We're going to use the pinky to push the bow off of my other hand. And I'm putting my bow hair on the back of my hand. And try to make sure your hand is clean if you're doing this. Notice I'm not using my elbow. I'm not twisting my wrist. I'm using the strength of my pinky push-up to lift the bow. And let's see if we can go down slowly. It's easy to go like this and drop it. But let's see if we can control the up and down with our pinky. And my thumb is bent and it's acting like a hinge. So I push down on my pinky and it goes around my thumb to lift the bow. Okay, so that is called pinky push-ups. Another exercise I would like to do is called the boat. And this is more for violins and violas. You're gonna do the boat. We're gonna hold two hands. Excuse me. We're gonna do two hands in front of us. We're gonna keep our beautiful bow hand, and you're gonna put it in front of your face, and we're gonna pull sideways and back. So you're gonna go out and in, and out and in. Notice that my bow hand is staying with the correct shape the whole time. If you're a cello and bass player, you're gonna do this in front of your belly button. We're gonna out and in, and out and in. I call this, and we want to keep it straight. As straight as you can make it. Let's try now. If you have an empty toilet paper roll at home, or I don't have an empty toilet paper roll here at the school, so I'm going to use this rosin sleeve that I have, and I'm going to put my tip through my rosin sleeve. Now, as a violinist, I'm going to create my bow hold again. Make sure it's right. Every time we do one of these exercises, double check that your bow hand shape is correct. Now, I'm going to try this first right in front of my face so I can watch what my bow hand is doing. And I'm going to pull it out, and I call this the train station. My station stays in one spot, and my bow arm is moving. When I move back so that you can see that I am pulling the arm, and I'm bending my elbow and my wrist, and my bow hand is staying the same. We can also try this from our cheek out like this. This is a little bit more the angle that our bow is going to go. This is for violin and viola. For cello and bass, you're going to do it in front of your belly button. And you're going to keep your cello bow hold. Let me grab the cello bow and I'll show you with it. Here's my cello bow hand right here. And I'm going to put the bow through the thing, and I'm going to put it in front of me. I'm going to stand up to show you. So it's going to be in front of my belly button. And I'm doing If you do not have a rosin sleeve, you can use your fingers to be your little train station. And we're going to pull the train out of the station and into the station in front of your belly button. And notice I'm not touching the bow hair. I'm just running my fingers. These are the train tracks, and the train tracks run just on the bow stick. So, oops, I have violin bow hand. That's me being a habit, doing the wrong thing on this bow. So we're going to pull out and in front of my stomach, because that's where the cello goes. This is where we place the bow on the cello. If I'm doing for violin, I can do the same thing in front of my face, because that's where the string goes. We can even go like this. I can make train tracks with my fingernails and not touch the hair, and I can pull my out and in, because this is about where the string is and the angle we're going. Notice that my wrist is being flexible and my fingers, oh look, my mouse house is still good. I didn't let it collapse. So I have my pinky on top and it's round. I'm going to keep my finger and my arm goes straight, my bow hand shape, my bow hand is flexible and round and relaxed, so my fingers can move. Nothing is tight, and then that way I'm able to bend my wrist and my elbow and not bow with just my arm. When we tighten up our thumb and we collapse our mouse house and our pinky gets straight, which happens a lot, then pretty soon that affects my wrist and my joints, and I'm not able to unbend my wrist. I end up using this part of my arm to make the bow motion, which is gonna not let my bow be straight. So I'm gonna relax my bow hand, make my mouse house, and that way I can use my arm and be flexible. Let me show you one time. I have to grab the violin. I'm going to show you on the violin what it looks like. While I'm sitting, I'm going to use my knee to make my bow hand shape right. There it is. I'm going to put my instrument on my chin correctly. I notice that I have really good posture. The good posture is super important for creating a nice bow sound. Now, I have my good bow hand shape and I'm holding it upright. When I put it onto the string, the instrument holds my bow correctly. The instrument is holding my bow in the air. My bow hand is nice and relaxed, and I still have my mouse shape. My thumb is bent, my fingers are round, and they're relaxed. So I'm going to place the bow halfway between the fingerboard and the bridge. And I'm going to watch this point. This is called the contact point. I'm going to watch my contact point. I'm going to try to keep my bow on that contact point. And I'm going to pull my bow on just the D string all the way out till my arm is almost straight. But notice my bow hand is still the right shape. And then I'm going to bring it back. As I bring it back, I'm going to bend my elbow and my wrist. And I'm watching the contact point. Let's watch that again. I'm going to watch the contact point. I'm going to pull my hand out. As I bring it back, I'm going to bring my elbow and my wrist back. See if you can use the whole bow all the way out. Now, if your arm, you run out of space with your arm, it gets all the way out, and you can't get to the end of the bow, that's fine. Just go till your arm is done. I have a long arm. If you are smaller, you might only be able to, your arm might get all the way done, and you might only be right here, and that is fine. That counts as whole bow. So you go all the way out for your arm, and then all the way back, and you want to watch that nice relaxed wrist and elbow. And I'm going to keep that mouse hole and keep the round bow hand shape and the round thumb. Okay? So we have a few exercises. We have the spider crawl. We have pinky push-ups. One more. We can do windshield wiper. Windshield wiper, we twist our wrist backwards and we flip the bow upside down. And we control the motion. This is with our wrist. And it helps keep our pinky strong, our thumb strong, and this finger strong, pointer finger strong. So we can adjust the amount of weight we have in different parts of our fingers, in different parts of our hands. One more that we didn't do, when you hold the bow this way, we're going to stir the pot. Okay, yes. Stir around like you're stirring the cauldron. And I still have round fingers and a round thumb and a nice mouse hole. All right, guys, those are our exercises. They will help you develop your muscles and flexibility and strong fingers that you can keep relaxed so you can make a nice, straight, beautiful sound with your bow on your instrument. Practice this every time you pick up your instrument. Spend a couple minutes making sure your bow hand is correct and strengthening your fingers, and that's going to really help you develop your bow hand. This isn't something that happens really quickly. You have to develop it in practice. So don't be worried if it's taking you a little bit to get it right. Keep working. Good job.